Hello and welcome to another episode of True Ghost Stories. This story takes place in a house that's located in Beaconsfield, Fremantle, Western Australia. This depiction of the house is not the actual house, as people still live in the actual house, and I don't want to give away its location exactly or even what the house looks like, so as to protect the innocent. The house was originally built back in the 1800s and was originally a doctor's surgery. The story goes that there was a man that was mugged and was severely injured, was brought to this particular doctor's surgery and was taken to see the doctor, and he happened to die in the hallway, unfortunately. He died of his injuries, and I'm sure there was many other instances where people met their end there, and I do believe there was probably a morgue at that particular doctor's surgery at the time as well. This particular story takes place in around the mid-1970s. My brother, myself and my mother were living in this house, and my brother and I were only very, very young. This is a photo of my brother and myself sitting in the backyard, just off from the veranda that we used to love to ride our little trikes on. The same little trikes we're sitting on right now. I'm the handsome chap sitting in the front. We used to ride our trikes up and down the veranda, and the wooden planks that the veranda were made from used to rattle as our bikes' wheels rolled over them. This is important to remember as we get further on to the goings-on that went on around the house later on in the story. The hallway of the house had a very, very creepy vibe. Every time you were in the hallway, you always felt like there was somebody standing right behind you. But of course, when you turned around, there'd never be anyone there. This used to freak my brother and myself out, as our toy box was located in this particular hallway, and the way we used to get toys was very unique, as we didn't like staying in that hall. Now, there was a door that led off to the lounge room at one end of the hall. You then went through some swinging doors into the dining room and another door that led into the same hall at the opposite end. So what we used to do is we'd run through from the dining room door, we'd reach our hand into the toy box, and whatever toy came out, that was the toy we were going to be playing with. And we'd keep on running through into the lounge room to get out of that hall as fast as possible. Now, at 8 o'clock at night, you could set your watch by it. The lounge room door would swing slowly open. And it was unusual because the door was hard against carpet, and you had to really push on that door to get it to open. But at 8 o'clock every night, that door would slowly swing open. And then a few seconds later, the swinging saloon doors would swing just slightly, as if something went from the lounge room door over and into the dining room through the saloon swinging doors. Everyone in the house knew about this because it happened every night at 8 o'clock, and we'd all seen it happen. Even though we were put to bed, my brother and I, at 7, every now and again we'd stay up a little late and see it happen. My mother did mention this to my grandfather who owned the house, but he just said we were all being silly, and it must be just the house moving. It couldn't be anything paranormal. It'd have to just be because there's a quarry nearby, maybe they're blasting or something like that. He always come up with an excuse. Anywho, this one particular night, we had been put to bed, my brother and I was still awake, but my brother was sleeping soundly. We could see the hallway from our bedroom, and I noticed a man carrying a candle was going up to the door. He then came into the room and headed straight for my bed. I pulled the covers up over my head, scared out of my wits. I then felt the weight of someone sit down on the end of my bed. I waited and waited what seemed to be like an eternity for the weight to lift, which it finally did. And then when I thought I was safe, I peeked over the top of the sheets and noticed that the man had walked over to my brother and was now bending over him and looking intently down at him. The man then slowly turned, and I put my head back under the sheets very quickly, trying to hide so as he would not see me. I felt very safe under the sheets. I then took another peek and saw him leaving, walking out the same door he'd come in, and then just disappeared. So I got out of bed and ran very quickly through the hall, in through the door to the lounge room where my mum was watching TV, and asked my mother could I please watch some more TV with her. This is my mother pictured here with myself and my brother at a later date when we were older. My brother's the taller one and I'm the shorter one. And she said, "Oh darling, can't you go to sleep?" And I said, "No, there's a man sitting on the end of my bed." And she said, "Okay, well you can sit up a little while longer, but not too much longer, but you can stay up and watch TV with me." About half an hour later, 8 o'clock came, and sure enough, that door opened up, slowly but surely, and then a few, probably seconds later, the swinging saloon doors swung, as if something had gone from that door through into the dining room. My mum didn't question too much about the man being sitting on the end of my bed, as she knew the goings-on in that house, and there'd been other strange stuff happening as well. This is another picture of my brother and I hanging stockings at Christmas time. I'm the little blonde and he's darker haired. This photo was taken in the haunted house on a mantelpiece that we did have a strange event happen later on. Like my brother and I used to hear footsteps on the veranda on those loose boards that we used to ride our bikes over. And those boards would make the sound of someone walking up to the front door. And we asked Mum, "What's these sounds we're hearing in the morning?" And she said, "Oh, don't worry kids, it's just the milkman, that's all it is." Anyway, we decided we'd sit up the next morning, because we used to be up by about 6 in the morning, and we were waiting for the milkman. We heard the footsteps come trip-trapping across the floorboards, and we quickly opened up the blinds to the window so we could see out and see if we can catch the milkman. But when we did, all we could see were the boards moving by themselves with nothing really causing them to move. And this just freaked us out a little bit more. Another night, my mum was asleep and we were all in bed. And there happened to be a tremendous crash come from the dining room. We've all gone racing in. Well, my brother and I went racing into our mother, who was in the dining room. So we headed in there for Mum's safety. Mum headed in there because that's where the crash came from. And she was carrying her .22 rifle that she used to keep in the house for safety at the time. We got in there and it turned out that a photo of my great-grandfather had been cast from the wall and smashed on the floor. And it wasn't just as if it fell, it had been thrown across the room. We then went hunting around the house to see if we could see what was going on, but there was nothing else to really see, and the house had fallen quiet again. So Mum assured my brother and I that everything was okay and put us back to bed. The next week we were out at my grandfather's house because we were getting sick of the goings-on at the house, which were really freaking us out. So we thought we'd go for the weekend down to my grandfather's house and get out of the house, get away from it for a little bit. And while we were gone, the house went and got broken into by a burglar. And they said when the police came that the burglar, he didn't really get much, he didn't take much. He had it all piled up on the bed, but all the stuff that he was going to take was still on the bed. And the police said he must have left in a hurry, thinking that someone had disturbed him. And we thought, yes, we know who disturbed him. It was the ghost of the house. Obviously, he didn't like the feelings in that house or the goings-on either, and legged it very, very smartly. We reported all of this back to my grandfather, who was the owner of the house. He never really believed that anything was going on, because he never stayed there. We did. Anyway, one night, my auntie decided she was going to stay there while we were all out one evening. and she was staying there with our dog Digger. And sure enough, at 8 o'clock, that lounge room door started to slowly swing open. And as it did, Digger stood to his feet and started growling as if someone was coming through the door. His hackles went up on the back of his neck, his tail went straight up in the air, and he was ready to go, whatever was about to come through that door. And he watched something come through that door, and his eyes never left whatever it was, and slowly followed it to the swinging saloon doors, which slightly swung, and as soon as they did swing, as if someone had gone into the dining room, Digger's hackles went down and he lay back down beside my auntie. After that, my auntie reported this to my grandfather, and they soon sold the house at their earliest convenience. Okay, well that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed that true story that happened to my brother and myself and my mum from back when we were very young. Tune in next time for the next story that happened to me when I was a little bit older. Alright, look after yourself and bye for now.